Hi everyone and welcome back. In this series of classes, we are going to focus on the reading question types. So I was initially going to cover this as based on passages, but then I changed my mind and decided to follow this up, focusing on question types. I know that students at this level are quite comfortable with reading passages and basic skills such as skimming and scanning. And we are now going to focus on how to approach each question type. So in reading of IELTS, we have around 14 different questions, but they fit into basically 5 or 6 categories. Usually you either have to match something, choose from a set of options, fill the gaps, or answer the questions based on yes, no, not given, or true, false, not given. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to cover each category of questions in these coming 4 or 5 sessions. Today, we're going to focus on the most common versions of questions, which are multiple choice questions. I'm going to tell you what are the main differences between these types of questions, and then what are the ways that you can, as a candidate, approach this kind of question to not only save your time, but also maximize your performance and make sure that you can answer the questions very well. Once again, remember, when it comes to the reading, especially for academic students where the passages are a little bit more complicated, it's about time management. So if you're not able to manage your time and control the way you spend time on each question, you may get into a lot of trouble. So our aim is to make sure that you can bypass that through understanding the question type and using a few techniques to save your time. So let's get right into it. Our first question type for today, as you see on the screen, is going to be the multiple choice. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you see that our passage has 2 types of question as usual, but we're going to focus on questions 27 to 30, which are multiple choice. Let's take a closer look at these questions. As you see, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4 questions, and we have 4 options for each question. The first thing you should pay attention to is that we have a lot of content here. So if you want to read everything, you're going to be into a lot of trouble. So before we talk about how to approach this type of question, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we should manage our time. So when it comes to managing our time, we need to take a look at the questions itself. As you see on the screen, and we discussed previously, this is the kind of text that we have to skim first because we don't have A, B, C, D sections, as we discussed that previously. So what you do is you spend between 2 to 3 minutes taking a very quick look at the beginning of each paragraph, just to get a very quick idea of what the text is about, what is the gist and purpose of this text, and then how has the text developed? Is it chronologically developed, or is it in some sort of different periods of time, or if it's in back and forth, or if it is explanatory? All of these are things that we need to pay attention to when we are skimming. During skimming, what we don't pay attention to are new words, details, and very specific information, because we don't have any purpose for details yet. So we ignore all the details. We try to look at the text and try to get an overview of it. So we have, as you see, the text that I have chosen is the 3rd passage. So there are 14 questions, as you see, up to number 40. So I need to be really careful about how I manage my time for each question. So if you remember, we talked about the rule of 20-20-20. So for this passage, I must have 20 minutes. Of this 20 minutes, I'm going to spend around 2 to 3 minutes for skimming the text. And then I have 14 questions, which gives me about 1.5 minutes for each question. Given the fact that I have about 1.5 minutes for each question here, I do not have a lot of time to read all of these details and then try to figure them out. So, multiple choice questions. We have a question and choices. Really remember is that the question is more important for you than the options. So that is what you need to pay a closer attention to in comparison with the questions, with the options rather. So make sure that you truly understand the question and you know where they usually give you some sort of a hint as to where in the text you should read. This is the beginning of questions, so most probably you need to be looking for the answers in the beginning of the question, but because you skim the text once, you have a clear idea where to find the information. Okay, now let's get to the options. Now, I don't have time to read these options and again and again, and I don't have time to really dive deep into them, because if I do, I'm gonna lose a lot of time. What I do is try to break them down a little bit for myself. If you look at the beginning of each question, you see that there is some sort of help, some sort of hint for you at the very beginning of the question that helps you focus better and find the information that you need. Because sometimes options can be very close when you look at it on the surface. So you see, let's talk about number 27. It says, at what point does the writer make in the first paragraph? So we have to go to the first paragraph, read it, and find out what is the point that the speaker is making. But we need to remember what we are looking for, okay? If you look at the options, look what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hide the second half of each option. If you look at the beginning of each option, you see that there is a bit of hint for you. We have the same situation for others. Wisdom, a basic assumption, concepts of wisdom, there is still much. If you see, these can really help you be able to kind of prepare yourself for what you're about to hear. And sometimes these will help you cross out options that are not really what you're looking for. Especially look at number 30. It says a difficulty, an example, controversial view, a recommended strategy. So did the fifth paragraph mention, for example, anything about a strategy or anything about difficulty? If there was no talk of controversy or discussion or argument, probably option A and C are not the answers that we are looking for. So by focusing at the first half of each option, you have a great upper hand in figuring out what is the best answer for each question. Another thing that I recommend to my students when they want to answer this type of question, especially those students who are really struggling with multiple matching, is that I ask them to completely ignore the options first, read the question, go to the text, take a quick look, get some basic understanding, take some notes, and then come back and compare your notes, compare your thoughts with the options that are given to you, starting by breaking down the options. Now, I'm going to put this in the resources section, so please go ahead and answer the questions. Don't forget to time yourself. Do not give yourself more than 1.5 minutes for each question. And don't forget to answer the question anyway. Make your best guess. Don't worry about making a mistake. When you're practicing, always give an answer. Always choose an answer, because we want to, based on our performance, we want to figure out what we did wrong, where we went wrong, and find a way to fix that. So please go ahead, answer this type of question, and then come back and watch the rest of this video. Okay, thank you very much. Please do share your results with me. I will check them out for you and help you with how to make progress in the next section. Let's take a look at a different kind of multiple choice. As you see here, This is a different kind of multiple choice question where you have to choose more than one option. So because there is a lot of information in the options, it is likely that we might miss a lot of time on this. So once again, very quickly when you approach this, make sure that you read the question before you get to the options, before you even look at the options. Read the question very carefully and make sure that you fully understand what the question wants from you. A lot of times people do not focus on the question and then they jump right into the options and then make a choice based on what they find in the text. They are never able to find out what went wrong. So let's get to the question. It says, which two of the following points does the writer make about King Yoser? So remember, we are looking for 2 points that the writer is making. So we have to kind of understand it based on what the writer said about this King Yoser. We have read or skimmed the text. We know where this King Yoser is being discussed. We directly go to that part of the text, read about it, and then come back and then find the points that are closest to the information from the passage. After you're done, you read the options one by one. So A, initially he had to be persuaded to build in stone rather than clay. Think about it. Was this point made or not? If you're sure, check it away. If you're not sure, consider it. So write it in your notes that, okay, this could be one of the answers. And go to the next one. Don't waste any further time. Do the same for each option. B, C, D, E. When you're done, come back and check the ones that you were not sure. For example, number A and C. For example, you chose A, C, and E. So 3 of them you chose, but you're sure that B and D are not the answer. But between A, B, and E, you're not sure. That's completely fine. Come back and take another look at A, C, and E and choose the final best 2. And don't worry about making mistakes. Remember, we need to build that skill through time and practice. And in the middle of the test, you don't have time to really judge yourself whether or not you made a correct option or not. You have to practice this kind of questions a lot so that you make the best of your time and do your best. So once again, you read the options one by one. If yes, choose. If not, forget it. If you're not sure, consider it. When you are done with all the options, come back and try again between the 2 or 3 options that are left for you and make your final choices. Okay, please go ahead and do this one as well. I'll put the text and the questions in the chat for you so we can work on that, and let's see how well you do. Thank you very much, everybody. This was a lesson on multiple choice questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. One thing that you should remember, the things we discuss are not going to be learned and acquired in just 1 or 2 times of practice. So you need to practice these a couple of times, especially those that you struggle with. And as always, don't forget to share your responses with me so I can check them and give you some helpful and productive feedback. Thank you very much. I'll see you next session and we will discuss a different question type.